Speed shifting is a really simple four-step process. Once you learn how to do it, it'll smooth out your ride a whole lot, and you'll look and sound a lot better on the motorcycle because you won't be chugging, making obnoxious upshifts and downshifts when you're going down the road. Everything will be smooth and transitions really nicely. So basically, the simple part is upshifting, and that's a four-step process. The first step is to basically preload your shift lever. Now I'm going to show you what I mean by that. To preload the shift lever, all you have to do is put your foot underneath the shift lever and apply a little bit of pressure. You're not going to be doing anything with the clutch at this point, nothing with the throttle, just adding a little bit of pressure underneath the shift lever. And the first time you try this, you might just want to go down the road and just get used to the feeling of adding a little bit of pressure without doing anything else at this point. Just get used to that feeling of basically moving it just about this much. The second and third steps kind of happen simultaneously. The first part of that is to basically back off the throttle. Now, I have the throttle completely closed at this point. Let's say you're traveling down the road. It might be open about halfway, something like this maybe. So when I say back off the throttle, I'm talking about very slight movement, like maybe this much. So if you're traveling down the road, you're backing off the throttle just a tiny bit. And actually that was pretty dramatic for what I did right there, but that's just to illustrate. Once you get used to this on your own bike, you'll see how little you really need to back off that throttle. Now at the same time, you're keeping your foot preloaded on the lever, but at this point, when you back off the throttle, you're going to actually put more pressure and kick it into gear simultaneously. So let's look at that again. You're going to be backing off the throttle and simultaneously kick it into gear. And you don't need any clutch to do this once you have your revs up. You might want to try just slipping the clutch a little bit. And by slipping it, I just mean, maybe that much. You don't even need to pull it in all the way. And that's the point of speed shifting. You don't need the clutch to do this. But when you're first trying it, especially going from first to second gear so that you don't really make the bike lunge, using the little clutch will smooth it out a lot. Now the fourth step is real easy. Get back on the throttle. And that's pretty much how you upshift. So step 1, preload the shift lever. Step 2 and 3, you're gonna ease off the throttle a hair, sneak it into gear at the same time. So that's step 3. And step 4, get back on the throttle. Now downshifting is a little bit more, not complicated, but it takes a little bit more practice to do right. But it's pretty easy, and it also smooths out your ride as well once you get it down pat. And basically, for smooth downshifts, you're going to need to use the clutch. You always need to use the clutch when you downshift. But it's kind of counterintuitive. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to actually squeeze in the clutch lever as you're going to shift gears, right? But at the same time, you're going to blip the throttle, which means you open the throttle just a little bit more than wherever you're at right at that point. So at this point, you should probably be braking and slowing down. You might not have the throttle completely closed. You're just going to blip it just a little bit, like that. At the same time, you squeeze the clutch in. The reason for that is you're trying to match the engine RPMs from one gear transition to the other. So that way, it's not going to lunge or slow down, or you're not going to have the rear wheel chirp. You might have heard that happen on some bikes, depending on if they have certain equipment on them or not. Some bikes chirp, some don't. But basically, you want to match the engine speed between shifts, and that's the reason for blipping the throttle, because when you're downshift, your engine speed is actually going to be a lot lower, especially when you're pulling that clutch in, because it's disengaging the clutch from the engine. Well, once you pull the clutch in and you blip your throttle, you're gonna basically downshift as normal. Put the shifter down and you're in gear, and of course the next step is just to get back on the throttle and smooth your ride out. So let's look at that again real quickly. First and second step, pull in the clutch, blip the throttle. That's step 1 and 2. Downshift, step 3. All really happen simultaneously, but that's it. It's a basic 3-step process, or actually 4-step process, because you want to get back on the throttle, right? Smooth it out. So that's your 4-step process for downshifting. Clutch, blip the throttle, downshift, get back on the throttle again.